Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Arsenal show. Good evening. That's a name that we might be hearing a little bit more of in the next couple of weeks, mightn't it? If we have our old manager back. Yeah, well, welcome to the Arsenal show. How you all doing out there? Quiet day. Nothing happened that can be thought of. Nothing happened in the football world. Look, we won't go on about that. We might touch on it at the end. If we've got time, so yeah, we just might touch on that at the end. See what the boys think. Tonight, with me, very special guest back after public demand, and he also that he gave me 50 quid as well to come on. But seriously, it's the Arsenal fan I always listen to what he has to say. Simon Lester, how you doing, mate?
Hi, Steve. Thanks for having me on. I think it was 25 quid. I think you've glossed it up a bit, haven't you?
I knew you'd do this. I knew you'd do this. And my co-host, Jerome Marks. How you doing, Jerome?
Yeah, fine. Thank you very much. Good
stuff, mate. Good stuff. Well, look, the Arsenal show today. I mean, it's going to be a more optimistic Arsenal show, a show where we talk about positivity and not so much negativity. An Arsenal show where we can praise our players and not find faults in them like we have done for quite a while. We're on a very good run at the moment, unbeaten in 8. So what can this be but upbeat, happy Arsenal show, our boys. It can't be nothing else but that. But we'll see what happens as we go along. We've got some good subjects tonight, so if you can please comment on them and see what you think, see if you agree with us, with what we have to say. And you know what I'm going to say now, don't you? Just please subscribe, please like. I can see there's quite a lot of people already on Twitter and Facebook watching. If you've not been here before, if you've not subscribed, please whack that button. And after that, come across here. It's much more cozy, like I always say. It's very appreciated. So I've already said it. Arsenal doing very well at the moment in all areas of the pitch. But what we're going to start with tonight, we're going to start off with our defenders. It wasn't too long ago when we had Bellerin at right back, and then we had sort of Holding as well, and David Luiz and Kolasinac, and now it's totally changed. And Simon, look, we'll start with you. How impressed have you been with our defence so far this season?
Well, it's had a huge transformation, Steve. So there's 2 or 3 new people have come in, which is always difficult to gel new players in. But if you look at the starting lineup from the last 2 games at the back, certainly we lost Tierney, which everyone thought would be a huge blow. But suddenly, there we go with Tavares. And you could argue that the Villa game, I thought he was arguably our best player there. He played really, really well. He came in. So just on that side, you're already seeing that if somebody's being left out, we've now got opportunities to bring players in that are not really weakening that setup at the back. So it looks like he's settled on a back 4. Whether he experiments at all as the season goes on, he may change his tactics for a certain game or something like that. But certainly in the last few games, White and Gabriel look as good as anything at the moment that I'm seeing in the Premier League without any shadow of doubt. And now, whether or not that is coming from the fact that they've got somebody behind them who is, clearly way ahead of where we thought he would be when he came in. Whether or not anybody thought he would be the start number 1 after sort of 10 games is beyond me. But if you've got somebody like that that's behind you, that can only give you confidence. So those two are excelling, and you can see when they're playing, just what it means to them, just to sort of bond together and keep it around. Now, Ramsdale got the plaudits on Saturday for his display, and there weren't a single negative. But Gabriel was outstanding, I thought, for us. He had one of the best games I've seen him have for Arsenal, especially in that second half. So you can only really be positive about the defence at the moment. Now, bigger tests await, although I certainly wouldn't sort of underestimate what we done on Saturday at Leicester, because not many teams are going to go to Leicester and sort of get an easy ride. Just ask a Man United fan after what happened there 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But bigger tests will arrive, and we shall see, especially away from home. But you've got to be positive looking at those back 4, 5, 6, 7 players at the moment. As I say, Tierney, if he comes back, we'll probably get straight back in. But we've now seen that we've got other people that can come in and plug those holes, which is great, because we haven't had that for a few seasons now.
Yeah, I think as well, when we look back now and we look at the Brighton away result, which I thought was an excellent defensive performance, and I think it went, people did unnoticed because we wasn't that great up front, and when you think of the draw with Liverpool the weekend against Brighton, I think even that performance there was an excellent performance. Jerome, Simon's just spoke about Tierney. He spoke about Tavares. How do you feel about that now? Simon said that when Tierney comes back in, he probably expects him to start. What would you do?
He's given the manager a real headache, Tavares, and it's only a good thing for Arsenal. I mean, with Tierney anyway, to be honest with you, the way he plays, after an hour, 70 minutes, he looks like he's sort of run his race. And I think even if Tierney does come back in and starts as left back, I wouldn't be surprised to see the substitution Tierney for Tavares quite a lot this season. I think like Simon said a bit with Ramsdale, he's exceeded the expectations in terms of where we thought he'd be at the moment. And going back to Ramsdale, I think a lot of Arsenal fans thought maybe by Christmas time, Ramsdale might edge out Leno in terms of being the number one, and he's basically done it as soon as he signed, pretty much. But yeah, going back to Tavares, that there were signs in pre-season in a couple of the games he played where we thought, oh, this guy looks okay, and a lot of when players sign, they come from a foreign league. Normally, it takes them quite a while to settle in. Yeah. But so far the signs are fantastic in terms of Tavares, and I think we might have mentioned it on a previous show. Something very, very minor, perhaps, but Tavares on the left and Gabriel, obviously both Portuguese speakers, so that might sort of have helped him adapt as well. But yeah, exceeding expectations, and his runs forward, kind inside, giving us sort of a different dimension to our play. Tierney's fantastic, but Tavares has got a few sort of attributes of a few skills in his locker that Tierney doesn't have, and it's great. It's great to see.
Yeah. So Simon, with Jerome saying that, would you agree for the Watford game, if Tierney's fit, that Tavares stays in, or do you bring Tierney in?
Well, I mean, obviously, just carrying on that, obviously, if Tierney is sort of 80% fit, the pressure's not so much on now, whereas maybe last season it would have been on just to throw him back in. But now, obviously, you're sort of saying... So the Watford game, it's difficult to know how to gauge it, because obviously they went to Everton the other week and sort of scored 5 goals. But in the other 2 games since Ranieri's been there, they've done nothing really. So I'm at a bit of a loss to know what sort of Watford team is going to turn up. But obviously you're going to sort of go for more of an attacking. Well, Arsenal are going to be on the front foot, you would hope, from the first minute. So when I turn up, I'm not really going to be too bothered which one of those two is playing at left back. I'm
Yeah.
more than happy. So that's a position that we haven't been in for a long time, and that's something that we've got to say is a good thing. Why? And injuries aside, I don't see too many changes from that side that played at Leicester on Saturday, unless something happens at the 11th hour. It's pretty much going to be the same, I would think.
Yeah. I mean, someone we haven't mentioned yet, Jerome, is someone who I think you like a lot, and that's our new right back, Tommy Asu. He had a bit of a nightmare against Brighton, but bit of a Western, but he was he certainly. I think what was good about that this was that straight away he come back in the next game and he just seemed on it, didn't bother him. So that was a good thing. Two questions in one, Jerome. Really, I mean, how do you think Tommy Ashu's been doing so far, and does it worry you, the right back spot when he's out? Who's going to come in? Who replaces him?
Yeah.
We could say that for everywhere, really, couldn't we? We could say that about every position, I suppose.
That's a very good point. I think with Tommy Asu on the right hand side, comparing him to the boys on the left, to Tierney and Tavares, there's probably a bigger gap in quality between Tommy Asu and the next best right back, whether that be Chambers or Cedric. And again, people forget with Tommy Asu, he's not like a 27, 28-year-old player. I think he's only 22, Tommy Asu. And again, he's come in literally as soon as he was available. He's been playing. But yeah, maybe that is a slight worry in terms of if he gets injured, because the next best right back maybe isn't of a similar quality. But like you said, apart from the Brighton game, you can't really fault him, to be honest.
I think the Brighton game, one of the things about the Brighton game is that they played 5 at the back, Brighton. So basically, there was a definite impetus on the wide players getting forward against us. So and we played, we only played 1 up front that day. So Arteta changed his tactics after that particular game. Now that's going to have to be something that he sort of looks at again when he comes up against certain teams. But certainly we weren't very potent in that game against Brighton. But we only had 1 up front, 1 against 3 defenders, just got nullified and lost the battles down the flanks. And Tommy Asu that day, it wasn't really playing 2 against 1, but he certainly got really pressured. So the likes of when you go to Anfield, so knowing that Liverpool are huge on getting their sort of fullbacks forward, that's going to be, to me, another big test for us. There's only 3 games this month. That's the obvious one that stands out as being the toughest one. But you've got to look at the way the opposition sets up with regards to how much pressure we're inviting on ourselves. And I think that Brighton game is a little bit of a turning point, because I think that we had the wrong formation for that game.
Yeah, something I wasn't going to bring up tonight, but I've just seen an excellent comment from John in the comments, and he there it is, got there in the end. Says dropping Leno, dropping Auba for last season's North London derby. Arteta has shown he has a ruthless streak, which all top managers need. Now, I agree with that. Now, are you seeing something different in Arteta? Was you someone who doubted him at any point? We'll start with you, Jerome. And do you feel any differently now? Are you beginning to think, yeah, this guy's got what it takes?
I think up until probably the last few games, even now, there's still question marks, because he's been here for a couple of seasons, and the performances, barring maybe 2 or 3, haven't been that great. And obviously the results have followed that as well. And the league finishes, haven't been that great either. I think obviously now he's bought, he's had a few transfer windows. He's drastically changed that starting 11. Like Simon said, the whole defence is completely different. And I think now is probably the best time in terms of being able to judge him properly. And the performances, I think, in the last few games there's a massive difference to what we're seeing now as to what we've seen earlier on in the season and the last couple of seasons. It's like night and day. And I think that's why there's a lot more positivity around the Arsenal fan base at the moment, because they can see a big difference. Still got lots to prove. You know, we're nowhere near the finished article, but I think just now there seems to be a few sort of glimmers of hope, and I think that the next few weeks and months will go a long way in terms of, you know, how Arteta does as the Arsenal manager. But it's looking pretty good at the moment, and full credit for him for doing that, because I don't know if he's done it single-handedly, but he's obviously had a big say in the players that he's brought in and the players that he's let go as well. And like Johnny said, dropping Leno, big call that is, and so far it's paid off.
Simon, you happy? Jury's still out?
Well, if you go back to John's question, so like Aubameyang was dropped primarily because he didn't turn up on time and stuff like that. So that was slightly different from the Leno thing. Leno's been dropped because he's made a few clangers, and so it's probably a form thing. But the one thing I'd say is he's clearly got some sort of system that he wants to play. Arteta, he's got in his head a way that he wants to drive things forward. Now, unless you've got the players that can play to the system that he wants, we were never going to succeed. So the transition of moving players out that didn't fit his sort of architectural way of playing and getting new players in is going to take time. Now, we're still, in my eyes, we're still probably players short. And we all know there's probably going to be another 2 or 3 players moved out in the next 12 months. But certainly for me, when I was at the Villa game, the first half against Villa was outstanding. Now, you can argue whether Villa are good, bad, whatever. You can only play the team that you're up against. So after 3 games, when we hit the last international break, we were bottom of the league with no points and no goals scored. Now, we played City and Chelsea in that. There's one more game until the next international break, and we could be 5th, I think, or I don't think we can get 4th, but we could be 5th. Now, if you can't see the turnaround in that space of time with an unbeaten run that's now at 10 games in all competitions, 8 games in the league, I think it is. That's a plus. We haven't lost since, if we were doing this show 2 months ago, we'd have been like, well, where's it going? And oh my God, it's a disaster and stuff. You look now, and we've all said it, that there's a more optimistic approach, and in the ground, there's no doubt about it. There's far more optimism from the fans. So I'm expecting a real good atmosphere for the Watford match on Sunday, because I think people are genuinely saying we're going to win this, and we're going to be knocking on the door of the top 4. It doesn't count for anything at the moment, but you'd rather be where we're going to be after Sunday, hopefully, than where we were at the start of the last international break.
Well, I hope so, because I'll be at the game as well. So, I'll be probably doing a live preview from the game. So, keep your eye out for that. So far so good. There's not a lot of negativity there at all. Everything just sounds good and rosy in the garden. And in my opinion, it's looking rosy in the garden for a couple of players who I was having my doubts about, and whether they wanted to be at the club, whether they was bothered, whether their attitude was right in the dressing room. This is what I was feeling at the time. But Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, although not scoring goals, he seems to be, over the last few games, leading by example, doing a lot of work, and so it's pleasing to see. Whether we'll come on to a bit later about getting goals from other places, and whether that's taken the pressure off of Pierre, could be a reason why. But I'll start with you, Simon. What type of role now can you see Pierre, playing for the rest of the season? Is it someone you expect to be smashing in the goals like 2-3 seasons ago, or do you see something a little bit differently from him?
Well, I think you can argue that he's whether he stumbled on this sort of 4-4-2 when Lacazette came on against Palace, and then they retained that same side for the Villa game. So personally, I think Aubameyang benefits from having another striker next to him. So whether that's Lacazette, I mean, personally, I don't think Lacazette will be there next season. So I think he's in his last season. I think he'll walk or what will go his separate way. But for the remainder of this season, if you've got two of those up front, with the likes of Smith Rowe and Saka doubling up and going past them, which is what's happening. Which is, as I say, I know you say we'll talk about the goals from different positions later, but I don't see any reason why Aubameyang can't still be the main man up front. I don't see anyone dislodging him from that role. But I do think he's better if he's got a hold-up man playing with him. And whatever you say, the best hold-up attacker we've got at the club is Lacazette.
Yeah. Jerome, I mean, going on from that, I mean, do you think Lacazette back in the side is helping Aubameyang? And then on top of that question, I mean, would you? I don't know, it's hard to say considering what we've been saying on the show for the last few months, but would you be thinking about giving him another year's contract?
Yeah, I think with Aubameyang, like Simon said, having someone close, sort of near to him on the pitch, so he's not isolated, is a massive help. And not only having someone close to him that maybe has some of the attributes that he lacks in terms of maybe linking the play, combining with the midfielders. It's so, we've had these two players for a few seasons now, and it only seems like the last few weeks we've figured out a way to play them together. It's crazy, really, isn't it, when you think about it? Would I give either of them extended contracts? Probably not. Lacazette's, considering it's no secret that he's probably going to leave at the end of the season. For someone that could just take it easy, when he's on the pitch this season, he's really putting a shift in. And even if you get 50 minutes, 55 minutes of Lacazette giving, 100%, that's good enough for us. What you don't want is you don't want him on the pitch for the whole game, and the last 30 minutes it's like you're playing with 10 men. Let him put it in, and then we can always bring a substitute on. We've got a few different options going forward, but I think that he's made a massive impact, and like full credit to him. But when we come on to talking about transfers, whenever that might be, that centre forward is probably the next big signing for Arsenal, and they got some big decisions to make in terms of who they target, what type of striker they target. But while Aubameyang's still at the club, I think it's massively important that there's a player close to him that supports him, whether that be Lacazette or maybe Odegaard in certain games, or I don't know. There's not too many other options, to be honest. But keeping Aubameyang, make sure that he's not isolated, I think is very important going forward, because he's always going to score goals. But he's a bigger threat when he's got someone close to him, I think.
Yeah, Simon, I mean, Jerome was mentioning options there. I mean, when you mentioned options, the first thing that came into my head was Balogun, Eddie Nketiah, and Martinelli. Do you see any of them pushing for a start in front of Lacazette and Aubameyang this season? And on top of that, how do you see their future going on?
If you'd asked me that question 2 years ago, I'd have said Martinelli, because he broke into the side and he looked a revelation. So it's unfortunately, like I watched the Leeds game last week as well. He needs goals, doesn't he? He needs a bit of confidence. There's people talking about, does he need a loan spell or why? Obviously, no Europe at all means one game a week plus a League Cup. So he's struggling for game time. He comes on in the sort of 85th minute. You can't expect him to do anything there. But I think he's probably, Eddie Nketiah didn't have a bad game against Leeds. You got to say,
very good.
Other than nearly missing the easiest chance that he He didn't have a bad game, but I agree with what Jerome said. I think, and it probably won't be in January, but in the summer, you would say that we're going to be sourcing at least one, if not two, strikers, because I don't see Lacazette being there next year. I think he'll probably walk away. Aubameyang's down to the last year. You're probably not going to give him another contract if he's 32, I would think, and he'd be 33 by the time it ran out. So I think they've got decisions to make, but any combination that works, you're going to take, isn't you? If someone said, well, you put Martinelli and Nketiah up front and they start banging goals in, that's fair enough. The Brighton game where Aubameyang was up front on his own, he just got negated because, as I say, there were three centre halves there. He just done nothing all game because he just never got a look in. So, as I say, that's where, and so Jerome said as well, that you just need to have someone with him who he can feed off of, and if you've got those runners coming through as well, it's like the third striker. So I don't see anything happening to the end of the season. I don't see us bringing a striker in January. So I think we've got what we've got, and we've just got to hope that we keep them fit for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, a question from Paul. How you doing, Paul? Hope you're well, mate. There's talk of Lacazette being sold. Who would you replace him with? I mean, I guess that's a question to both you boys. Jerome, who do you think? Is there someone in your head? Is there someone there? Always.
You know what? That's the $1 million question, really, isn't it? Who is there? And this is where the scouts have got to come up trumps, I think, because I don't think there's too many options that spring to mind. People would talk about sort of Calvert-Lewin at Everton, Ollie Watkins at Villa, but for me, Ollie Watkins isn't the man for us. Maybe it'll be someone from outside of the league. It's so honestly, it's such a difficult signing to make because there's not too many sort of obvious options.
No,
it's a real tricky signing.
It's difficult.
Centre forward, yeah. I don't know what Simon thinks. It's hard to think of a name, isn't it? Really.
I don't see us going down the Man United route of bringing in they've had a succession of like older, like Cavani coming in and like Ronaldo now, and they brought in Falcao, didn't they, a few years ago? I don't see us going down that route of bringing someone in who's 32 or something, and he's on his last legs for a season or two. I see us maybe taking up Calvert-Lewin. I think I don't know how long he's got left on his contract at Everton, but he's going to be big bucks, isn't he? And as we all know, strikers probably cost more than most anyway. I think he's geared up. He's Premiership ready now. That's the other thing. You bring a striker in from a foreign league, and sometimes they take months to even get up to speed in the game, don't they? So it's very, very difficult. I don't know anyone who. I'm not going to put a name in or something like that. But I think that's one for the summer. And you're right. I'm sure the club are looking at it.
Yeah.
What about Raul Jimenez?
Yeah,
Jimenez, or is that player. Someone there because of his freak accident he had actually at the Emirates, wasn't it? That he had his injury.
I'm not sure how old he is, Steve. I don't think he's a I think he's pushing 30.
No.
I think what's going to be at the forefront of Arteta and Edu's thoughts when it comes to the striker isn't just who's a good striker, who can we sign. I think it's really going to be about what striker is going to fit well with this particular team. I think that's the way they're going to approach it. And I think that maybe how Lacazette and Aubameyang have played recently is going to cement that thought in terms of Aubameyang's obviously a fantastic striker, but if you haven't got the support for him, then he's sort of maybe half the player. So I really think don't be surprised if it's not this amazing standout name that people expect. It might be someone that just really suits the players that he's going to be surrounded by. And hopefully Arteta and Edu have done their homework and know the type of profile they think is going to fit. They'll be a bit like Tomiyasu. No Arsenal fan probably thought, oh, this is the right back we need.
No.
But for how the team play at the moment, he's fantastic. And And so, yeah, maybe they'll take that approach in terms of the best fit for this particular team.
Yeah. Or people in the comments, let's see what you tell me what you think. Who do you think Arsenal should buy? Probably in the summer now. I've always liked Ivan Toney. I can't see him being at Brentford by the end of next season anyway. But Simon, what type of striker do you think Arsenal need? Do they need the big Giroud, number 9, like Raul Jimenez, Ivan Toney, or do they need the quick striker like your Agueros, your Andre Silvas, or someone like that?
Well, if you go on the basis of the last 2 or 3 games, then you'd say the quick striker, because we seem to have dispensed with the side-to-side passing, which was causing us so many problems. And it was loads of possession, loads of side-to-side passes. But then when you're up against a wall of 10 players, it's very difficult to break down. If you're more direct and you press him from the front, which we have been, and that's where we've sort of done a lot better, then we go for the quicker striker. However, it's always good to have a plan B, isn't it? So yeah. I'm not against having like a 6'4" battering ram on the bench or something like that can come on, or you sort of play them at Stoke away, them sort of games.
No.
To me, speed kills at the top level. If you've got pace and you've got pace to burn, no defender is looking forward to playing you. Now, if you've got the players behind who can put you through or who can find you with a top pass, that's going to hurt you more than anything else. Normally, the bigger strikers are more one-dimensional, but they act as excellent target men, don't they? So,
yeah.
I personally, I can't say no to either of those options. I'd rather go for the quick one, but as I say, I certainly wouldn't say no to having somebody as a backup plan. A plan B, as we always used to say, isn't it?
Yeah. Unless you're a freak of nature like Haaland, then. But that's totally.
We wouldn't mind getting in, but I think we'll have to. Yeah,
I don't think we can. Yeah, Paul thinks we should get the Scottish Italian Andre Bellotti from Torino. I like him, actually. I do like him, but he's that battering ram of a striker who, I think he would suit the Premiership, actually. I know he was in about a new contract with Torino. Whether he signed that or not, I'm not too sure, but I know his contract runs out at the end of the season. We're going on. We're talking about goals. One thing that we've been talking about a lot recently is how, we've always found it hard to score goals from midfield on the wings, and we've just relied on basically Aubameyang and that's it. But recently, again, things are starting to change. Arteta has brought in a couple of players, changing in what I think different formations, which has helped these players score the goals.
Yeah.
We're talking about Emil Smith-Rowe and Bayako Sako here, Simon. Do you think that they've started doing things differently? What's all of a sudden has made these all of a sudden just started scoring goals every week? It's not an exaggeration, is it?
But I touched on it. I think basically that cranking up with the pace and the more high press and defending from the front. Now, you can't do that in every game here. I don't see us going to Anfield and sort of adopting that policy from the first minute. But to me, that has freed up more space in the final third. So Smith-Rowe's looked great. The 2 goals he scored in the last 2 league games. The one against Villa was great. He sort of started that in his own third, and then ended up on the end of the ball to score. And then he was in the right place at the right time again against Leicester. Now, Saka probably should have scored against Villa as well. But you're right. Last season, I'm pretty sure we were bottom of the stats from goals from midfield out of any Premier League team. Now, clearly that was a glaring, disastrous statistic that didn't help us at all. So, who else we got in there? If you say Partey, he did score a goal. Maybe he should score more goals. He's shooting
go for that.
But it's John Jensen-esque at the moment, isn't it? And obviously Lokonga, I think he's done well as well, but he doesn't look like he's not really the guy that's taking on the shots. But you're right, the two that should be scoring, you said, are Saka and Smith Rowe. So get that statistic up, and that eases the burden elsewhere, which so far it is. But first half at Leicester, we were fantastic there from an offensive point of view. It was a game of two halves, wasn't it? From an offensive point of view, in that half we were excellent. Could have scored 3-4 goals. The second half it went the other way, and we were excellent defensively there. But Smith Rowe, you score goals, your confidence goes up. Your confidence goes up, you start playing better.
Yeah, it's when you know that, especially with Aubameyang, and he's not that main person who's relied on to score those goals now. He can help the team much better by working harder. But also as well, do you think like playing Lacazette has helped Smith Rowe and Saka in a way of, how can I explain it? In a way that they're not keeping their eye on them as much, and now they've got another striker that they've got to mark. The defensive have got to mark, so Smith Rowe and Saka are now getting that little bit more room. They're not in the fault of defences as much as what they were, say, last season. What do you think, mate? Excuse me.
Yeah, that's Simon or
you. Sorry, Joe, I'm you, mate.
Yeah, possibly. I think it's. I think Saka and Smith Rowe have both come out saying how much they enjoy playing with Lacazette, so that has probably helped. But I think really what it comes down to is that Saka and Emil Smith Rowe getting more chances and scoring more goals. I think it's pure. A lot of it is just a consequence of us playing better and having these really super dominant spells in games, which we didn't used to have, or which we haven't had the last couple of seasons. It might be the odd counter attack here and there, but now, especially, you can see it in the Villa and Leicester game. We had, maybe 25, 30 minutes of very dominant football, creating lots of chances. How often were we saying the last couple of seasons, we're not creating any chances?
Yeah.
And now we seem to have improved a lot in that area, and obviously a consequence of, and from that consequence is that these guys are going to get chances because they're attacking midfielders, they're supporting the strikers, and they've both got goals in them. You can see they can finish, and Smith Rowe's got different types of finishes in him. He's scored a few different types of goals, volleys with his left foot. He can, run from the halfway line and score. He can come on late in the box. So, and also with age as well. These are young boys, and I know Wenger said it about Ramsey. Sort of when he didn't score a lot of goals initially, and he said like when Ramsey starts to score, like he won't be able to stop. And hopefully that'll be the same. That'll be the same with Saka and Smith. It's funny because we always talk about them like as a pair, but they're individuals, but because they sort of come through the same youth system, we always twins, sort of we put them together and we maybe compare them in a way we shouldn't, because we don't we don't compare other sets of players like we do Saka and Smith Rowe, but obviously they've got that song as well, which is nice, which the fans enjoy singing. But we're very lucky. We've had a right touch that those two players have come through our youth system.
Yeah.
If you look at that Villa game last season, and it was a similar time of year, sort of autumn. I mean, we got battered in that game. Really, I don't know fans. We lost 3-0 that night, and we got dominated at home. Yeah. Well, that was the total reverse this time round. We absolutely battered Villa, and we got so in a 12-month period with a few personnel changes and a slightly different way of playing. We've totally turned that round. And similar thing with Leicester. I know we won at Leicester last season, but we lost at home to Leicester, and we lost at Leicester the season before. But if you look at that, same thing. That game was won by, but after I don't know what the team talk would have been at half time, but you can bet your bottom dollar it was like, right, well, we're 2-0 up here. Just don't do anything stupid. Let's get to the hour mark and see where we are. Now, I know that you can say the keeper made some outstanding chances, but as I say, we could have been more up in that first half.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you agree with this, Simon? Is this the type of football you want to see on Sunday when you go over there? Have a go, have a shoot.
Yeah.
Shoot on sight.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, not all the time, obviously, but I mean, I think I'd rather see someone shoot from 20 yards and play a sideways pass.
As long as it's not Thomas Partey. No, but Simon, you think we should do that, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. There's people that can. You'd rather the ball be at certain people's feet, wouldn't you? But you know, you could say that at present, Partey and Lokonga are probably not renowned for scoring from 20, 25 yards, but they're not the only ones, are they? I'm not saying that Lacazette or Aubameyang doesn't get the ball sort of in those areas. So, I mean, for years we've been a little bit guilty, haven't we, of sort of trying to score the perfect goal. And you can go right back to like the Invincible side, can't you? Really,
yeah.
and you know, it came off a lot of the time, didn't it? And you just walk it in the net. But if you don't buy a ticket, you're not going to win the prize, are you?
Exactly, mate. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about scoring goals. Another player who, you know, seems to like getting his head on a few goals and, you know, from corners, and someone we ain't really spoke about yet is as centre back Gabriel. I just want to have a little chat to see what you both think about him, because I think this kid could be anything, and I championed him on the show last week, and I compared him to someone like Virgil van Dijk if he keeps going on this, you know, this type of conveyor belt, because he just seems to get better and better. I mean, am I going over the top, Jerome?
No, not at all. Not at all. I can't remember if it was the Leicester game or the Villa game, but he went down injured in one of the games. I don't know if you remember. Leicester. And do you remember how you felt when you saw him on the ground, thinking that we could lose this player for either the rest of the game or it could be a serious injury? And I think that's the sort of moment when you realise how much you think of him, because if he's out of our team, you don't feel as confident as if he's in the team. You know, he's, you know, without sort of jinxing it, he seems to have cut out some slight errors, mistakes perhaps that he made last season. But again, another young centre back, and he's hardly put a foot wrong this season. He's got goals in him as well from set pieces. I think he scored in his debut at Fulham, I think. But yeah, he's something
else, isn't he? It could be
he's absolutely superb. You can't really speak highly enough of him, Gabriel, and you just hope that he stays fit.
That's the worry.
He's got everything. He's got everything that you'd want from a centre half, really. You know, you were talking talking about the strikers, whether you have someone fast, someone that maybe can hold the ball up. From Gabriel, all the attributes you want from a centre back, there's not really too many that he's lacking. Perfect foil for Ben White as well.
Yeah, fan Simon.
Yeah, I mean, my own view. I always say, if you have a foreigner coming into this league, it's a unique product to our league. I think it's different to anywhere else. So I have this sort of unofficial rule that I sort of give the foreigners the first year for free, so to speak. And some need that and some don't.
Yeah.
He's
we're
obviously
of that age, aren't we, Simon? We was of that age where we used to give them. That was the thing, wasn't it? You gave them a first year; it was a buy.
Correct. But he clearly he understands the league, and at the moment, I mean, whether or not he's playing with a different partner with him this season. So last season, predominantly he was with Luiz, or maybe Holding for a few games. So White is Premier League grounded. He knows what's what. I think White has been excellent, I'll be honest. He had a bit of a shaky start at Brentford, but then he didn't turn up. But since he's been back after that game, he's looked pretty good to me. And the two of those, that's what you got to get. If you can get that partnership at the back, especially if you can incorporate a goalkeeper with it as well, you're never going to do anything unless you've got that solid foundation at the back. So he looks good to me, Gabriel. And in the Villa game, you could see the two of them sort of stopped to goal there, and you could see that there was a bond. There's a huge bond already between the two of them, and they clearly will not. It's a bit like a Martin Keown attitude. They just want to stop anything from getting through and scoring. So if they can build that up together and get that partnership, it only bodes well for Arsenal. Now, they're going to miss games. They're going to get injured. So you just got to hope that the people coming in, and it's probably going to be Holding will be the first one to come in, I would say.
Yeah.
You just got to hope that they sort of, whatever they're doing in training, it's as seamless as you can make it. But and he's a goal threat as well, isn't he? He scored a good goal, Gabriel, at the weekend there.
Yeah.
He got up and stuck it in the corner. But no, good. Certainly so far, behind the scenes, maybe our best player, I would say.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with you there at all, Simon. John's just put there that I think we missed out on Tammy Abrahams. Well, at the time when Tammy Abrahams was on the radar of Arsenal, and Arsenal did want him. We wasn't doing very well, but I'm pretty sure if he would come to us now. We weren't doing very well at the time. But not going off on the other way, going into negativity. But I just want to talk about a player that I know Jerome likes talking about quite a bit. So, but it'd be good to get his see what he thinks now, whether his views have changed. It's a simple question, Simon. What do we do with Pepe? What
I was advocating playing him through the middle at one point because he's been on both wings. It just seems to do some great things, but he just hasn't got that final ball, or he doesn't seem to have that ability to beat the last man, does he? And I'm pretty sure defenders know that he's so one-footed that if you show him down the sort of right-hand side, he's going to always look to cut back, isn't he? It's very difficult because you can't see him starting in the current climate because you're not going to drop any of those, in theory, front four for him at the moment. So he may have to rely on an injury or, a big performance coming on as a sub to sort of stake a claim. But obviously, if you've got, the price tag's not his, but if you've got a £72 million player sat on the bench who's not performing, it doesn't look good. This is his third season now, so you can't say he's new to the Premier League. He should have bedded in by now, but he probably doesn't warrant a starting spot at the moment.
Jerome, we know what he's capable of. On his day, he's unplayable. And then on other days, he can be the worst player I've seen in the Premiership. It's literally that far apart sometimes with him. What do we do with him?
Yeah.
Because we can't sell him. Do we try and put him in another position? Is there another position?
Yeah. You know what? Like Simon said, seeing him play through the middle somewhere, I think that'd be good to see how he does there. But you said some days he's a world beater, some days it's like he's never played football before. I think that's the problem. He's just so inconsistent. He's consistently inconsistent, and that is his biggest downfall. And the players that he's competing with for positions on the pitch at the moment, in terms of Saka, for me it's Saka, because Saka plays from the right for me, and that's basically where Pepe plays. And now with Smith Rowe on the left, they've sort of, for me, they've blocked his path just because of how good they've been. Through the middle is an option. Would he play as the actual centre forward, or would he play maybe slightly behind? I'm not sure. I think we've missed. I don't know if we've missed the chance of seeing that, because maybe, with our Europa League games the last couple of years, perhaps there was an opportunity to see him in that position in those games, and maybe risking it in a Premier League game might not be with every game's so important now. Maybe we've sort of passed that point. It's such a shame. He came with such a sort of big. There was everyone was so excited when he signed, and like Simon said, give him the first season free. It's settle in, new league, new language, intense type of football. But I think, and sometimes you see something different in the second and third seasons. But I think we've seen Pepe now. I think we know who he is, and it's a shame the price tag has really played a big part in terms of what the fans think of him.
Yeah, I mean, I said
it's just a shame how it's worked out.
Yeah, I mean, I said I wanted him to play. I wanted to see him play 10, 12, 15 games because what was happening seemed to be he was playing well, playing a good game, and then he was dropped, and that seemed to be, how it was going. But I didn't like that, and then all of a sudden he was in the side, and Arteta was doing that, and they kept playing him, but he just wasn't doing it for me, and I like the guy, and I really want him to, to do well at Arsenal, but I just can't see where he's going to fit in. I mean, Simon, we could fit him in if we rested Smith Rowe or Saka, but can we afford to rest them?
Well, that's it. But because we're only on one game, so League Cup, FA Cup starts in January, so the chances are we're going to get through the semi-final of the League Cup. So there's 2 games there. You can't. You're not going to drop anyone from a winning league side. So injury or League Cup is his only start, really. I think at the moment. So going forward, I think last season he was our top scorer and top assist maker as well. So maybe we're looking at it a little bit differently. But when you watch him, it doesn't appear like that. Did it? I mean, was the Palace game. The first 15 minutes, I thought, wow, he was fantastic. But after that, he was just anonymous for the rest of the game. I mean, Johnny's saying now, cut our losses, sell, okay, but obviously we're not going to get 72 minutes. He's got a value with him, hasn't he?
What's he worth, Simon?
Depends who's buying him, doesn't it? And ultimately, what's someone going to give? 25 million or something like that? How long? 2 years on his contract. But you could argue, well, there's 25 million off of another striker. So it's just sad the way it's turning out. But he's not a bad player. You've hit the nail on the head. But he's just not fitting in to what we need at this present moment in time.
Yeah, it's sad. It's a sad situation because he's one of these players that every time he's on, you want him to do so well, and he'll run into a brick wall or he'll trip over his own feet, and you're thinking, oh no,
he's inconsistent. He can be inconsistent within the space of like 5 minutes, let alone from game to game. He's inconsistent within games.
Yeah,
he's probably the most frustrating player we've got in our squad, isn't he?
Yeah,
100%. I think last time when you come on, Simon, before we finish, there's obviously something else to quick talk about after this. But last time you come in, and we wasn't in a very good place. Most of it, the talk was pretty much negativity, and basically saying what players we want to get rid of. I mean, now look, has your expectation changed now for the rest of the season?
I'm a great advocate. I just say take one game at a time. So I look to Sunday, I look for the Watford game, and I'm looking for 3 points. Now, as I said earlier, I'm a little bit unsure what type of Watford turn up because it's a Jekyll and Hyde, isn't it? You don't go and score 5 goals at Watford, at Everton one week, but then concede 5 the previous week. So I think where we are now compared to where we were, as I say, just at the last international break, nobody would have thought that would have happened. Nobody at all. So if we can have 2 weeks off sitting in 5th place, I know we've got Liverpool the week after, but we'll worry about that then. So to me, it's one game at a time. Yeah, we haven't got the, it's European games this week. Obviously, Watford are not involved, but there might be some injuries. There might be some hungover players from travelling and stuff like that. Everything is pointing us. We've got a full week off to prepare for a home game against a team we should be beating. beat that team, we'll end up in 5th place. And to me, I'm over the moon with that at the moment. And all I'll say is, in the ground, there's certainly a lot more positivity than what there was. Nobody's like getting on anyone's back. It's like a unified backing of the team, and that is, for want of a better word, the old 12th man. And if you can get that in the ground, that's got to be a big plus for us.
Yeah, I mean, just before we go, we might as well touch on it. Another team who probably thinks things are looking up for them is our friends down the road at Tottenham, Jerome. What do you think about Antonio Conte being their manager now? Does it worry you? Does it not bother you at all? How do you feel about it?
I think they've done very well, Spurs, to get him because of the clubs he's been at. And I think this is going to be a totally new test for Conte, because he's not going to a team that have got history of winning leagues and winning lots of trophies. He's going to a team where he's going to have to basically buy himself pretty much a whole new starting 11, certainly a whole new defence, and he's got a big test, and he's such a like an extrovert and an outspoken character that. A bit like Mourinho, perhaps, where obviously, as an Arsenal fan, hope it doesn't work out. I can see there being a bit of tension and friction there with Conte. But as I say, fair play to Spurs for getting him. That is a massive job, and I think I don't know if he's bitten off more than he can chew with it, but it's going to be a real test of his managerial qualities to see how he can turn around their fortunes in terms of playing style. And obviously, all Spurs fans want to win trophies, and so he's got he's a big old test. And he's not one of these managers that stays at a club for sort of 5 or 6 years.
No, 3 years. No, that's it.
It's either win now or he'll go, or he'll just go in a couple of years anyway. So, yeah, but they're trying. You can't say they're not trying.
No, you can't. You definitely can't. Simon, should we be shaking in our boots?
Well, God knows why they appointed Nuno. I mean, he was about the 8th choice. It's a bit like when you go and buy a golf club, Steve, and they haven't got what you want, so you just go and buy another one for the sake of it. So he was clearly he was the wrong person to appoint. So Conte is a better manager than Nuno. So I think he'll improve them, but my own view, I don't think he's going to improve them enough to get the top 4. They're still in cup competition. Who did they get? West Ham, was it? So they got a tough draw there. You look at Spurs. Any team that's got Eric Dyer in the starting lineup has got problems, as far as I'm concerned. So he's going to want to play 5 at the back. Conte straight away will go 5. As I'm concerned. So they need money. Does that mean that Harry Kane's going to have to be sold? Probably. So they made a mistake not selling him in the summer. He may well be reinvigorated, but he may even go in January. City who'd have ever thought we'd say this? City are struggling for goals, so maybe a deal can be done in the Christmas time for that, January. But I don't see Spurs, unless Spurs have huge money and a total rebuild, which I don't see happening in a short period of time. They're not winning anything in my eyes.
No, it's too little time to do. I mean, if he stays there for a couple of years, 3 years, then maybe in that amount of time you may see them improving. But I can't see them unless he's given a lot of money. Unless he's given a lot of money by Levy. Which is a bit worrying because.
But as Spurs are the most in-debt club in Europe, the chances of being given tons of money are slim, I would say.
Yeah, you would think so, but from people I talk to, Conte don't go in anywhere really unless he's given some kind of decent budget. I mean, I've heard 100 million, but with what you said there, Simon, does make a lot of sense. You get 100 million and then you add Harry Kane on it for another 100 million, you got 200 million then. Love to be a fly in the wall on that one. But who cares? We don't care about Tottenham. I mean, why are we talking about Tottenham? Who brought that up?
We've already beaten them.
Yeah, we've already beaten them anyway, so definitely. Right, before we go, please everybody subscribe. Please everybody like the Twitter, YouTube, and especially YouTube. Just want to put this up. Friend of mine, friend of ours, friend of all. Johnny, he lost his dad, Fred, last week. So from all of us, Johnny, prayers, thoughts to you, your family. I'm sure you're going through a very tough time at the moment, mate. But all of us on here, we're thinking of you, mate, and hopefully you can get back to some kind of normality soon. Although I know from experience it's very hard. So yeah, just wanted to say that to you, John. Right, now that's it. Good show. My debut show as Arsenal show host. I'm sure Kieran's not quaking in his boots after watching it. So, Simon, thanks again, mate, for coming on.
Loved it as always.
Yeah, as you say, you're welcome back every time, mate. There's always a chair from you. And Jerome, you're here all the time anyway, so thanks for coming on, Jerome.
Yeah, of course. Cheers. Always good talking Arsenal. Cheers.
Yeah, I mean, we got what's your predictions for Sunday? Quickly before we go. 3. Oh, that'd be nice.
3-0.
Yeah.
3-0. I'll probably be wrong, but I normally am. But got to be positive now. We're going mega positive.
You haven't, yeah. Get 3 goals, another clean sheet, and one thing we didn't talk about, did we? Just quickly before we go, was the incredible save from Ramsdale. Well, unbelievable, wasn't it? I mean,
You're not going to see a better save than that this season, are you?
No, and absolutely incredible. And the people that were putting him down, literally abusing him, slagging him off, and I think you owed him a big apology. But yeah. Anyway, thanks everybody out there. There's going to be a show at 10 o'clock. Nathan will be doing the Manchester United Atlanta Champions League match reaction at 10. I'll be back tomorrow with a Tottenham special on the Transfer Exchange show. Special guest I'll be having with me will be Jamie Brown, a good friend of the show. So that'll be 8 o'clock tomorrow. So don't miss that. And so until then, peace out, stay safe, and wash your hands.